Well, thank you all for coming out today, and I thank you, Christine, wherever she went. Oh, there she is. Christine, thank you. Good luck with your campaign, by the way. I'm very honored today to be here. I am chair of the Clark County Black Caucus, and we have had a long history with Assemblyman Joe Hogan, who I am so honored and privileged to be here today to present this award. When I got the call asking my availability, I changed my schedule to be here. That's how much this man means to me. This is how much he should mean to all of you, and how much he means to the movement on equality, civil and social rights for everyone. So Joe, let me tell you a little bit of Joe, and maybe you'll learn to love him or grow to love him like we have. He was born August 10, 1937 in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Joseph, we call him Joe, Hogan. He learned the importance of advocacy at a very early age. As a college student at Notre Dame, graduating in 1959 with his BS, Joe saw firsthand the injustice and horrors of racial prejudices and the scars, both physical and emotional, on its victims. Not willing to stand on the sidelines, Joe joined the growing civil rights movement while in college and courageously traveled to the South as a freedom rider. His journeys would take him to the United States Navy, where he proudly served his country as a Navy officer from 1959 to 1962, returning to college at Georgetown Law Center, where he earned his Juris Doctorate in 1966. His love of the world created a passion for conservation, and he's one of our biggest conservationist advocates here in this state, as well as on the issues of civil rights and social justice. After a long career with the federal government, Joe retired as a federal office official, having worked in the Departments of National Aeronautics and Space Administration, the Department of Defense, the Department of Labor. His work in the Department of Labor as a senior officer on diversity and employment disparities earned his Caltrans Workforce Development Program national recognition from Washington, D.C., where he flew back and accepted a national award on the work that they were doing in California to increase the number of minorities on public works jobs, as well as for women. In 2004, Assemblyman Joe Hogan was first elected to the Nevada State Legislature, where he served in 6 special and 4 regular sessions. He represents Assembly District 10, located in Clark County, and serves on several important committees. We had an opportunity to work with Joe Hogan in the Assembly, and in 2008, we began working with him with the Nevada Department of Transportation to try to accomplish the goals that he had set out with Caltrans in California. Historically, here in the state of Nevada, on public works jobs through NDOT, historically, women only worked 1% on the jobs, on NDOT jobs in Nevada. This was the same low percentage for African Americans. So Joe asked us would we join him in advocating and working towards legislation that would change the direction of this state for both women, African Americans, Native Americans who were underrepresented in the workforce. Joe authored a bill last session, AB 281, and with bipartisan support, and that's why I'm loving to hear what we're talking about today about the issues, because we were able to convince the Republican side to come with us to advocate for AB 281. Why is AB 281 so important, and why should we be celebrating with Joe today on that bill? Because that bill requires now in the state of Nevada that on every public works job, each contractor who has a contract on that public works job is now required to report by ethnicity and by gender their workforce. We now, that's public record now, we now have the ability to ask for a report and see what our employers are doing. Now yes, do we want to see more? Absolutely. But this is the first step to making sure that we start seeing equality in our workplace. This bill, AB 281, passed with bipartisan support and had a constitutional majority, which meant our governor could not veto that bill. We are happy to announce that the governor did sign that bill, and we do have that as law, and we're looking forward to the next session in 2015, although we won't have our biggest advocate, Joe Hogan, there because he is termed out and won't be able to return as a legislator, but we certainly hope we'll have his voice as an advocate in those hallways in our state capitol. So Assembly Hogan is always available. He's always been available to discuss the issues in our community, but he is also willing to roll up his sleeves, get down into the streets, down into the gutters if need be, to do the work. And he has made a huge difference in the disproportionality impacting minorities in this community, including women. And I'd just like to say, getting back to that NDOT diversity advisory committee that I had the privilege of serving with Joe on, we actually were able to increase. This was the widening project for the 15 freeway. It was a $250 million project, and we were able to increase women workforce on that job alone from 1% to 8% in a 2-year period. So we are proud today, and I'm especially proud today, to be able to present to my friend and our biggest advocate, Assemblyman Joe Hogan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming, and thank you for enduring some of this wonderful weather that we enjoy this time of the year. Actually, there is a little breeze moving, thank God. Well, look, I really appreciate your presence and your support and your kind words. I think that the experience we're having today and some of the speeches that we had just heard remind us powerfully that it's hard to keep up the pressure to continue our gains for women, our gains for minorities, our gains for everyone, for the policies of the Democratic Party, which happen to be pretty high on my scorecard as well. It's a tough time to be fighting for many of these issues. There are a lot of people who, at the very least, will just not quite manage to arrive at the event, or not quite manage to support the effort being made. Others are even less supportive than that. We won't go into that kind of behavior, but it's not easy. And I think we're hearing a lot of our very dear friends and the people we count on to help make a difference in our society and help us overcome some of the obstacles that we've been fighting for years. It's very difficult today. And I think this is a time where we almost need to go back and remind ourselves of how we got started in these proceedings. And what were the motivations that we felt very, very strongly in the recent past. I think it's time to kind of reach back in, stir up those very strong feelings, and realize that there are still plenty of us who care about these issues, who can be helped to remember why it's so important that we strive for full equality for everyone, women, minorities, for all of our Americans. That we strive for policies by our political parties that support the strongest of our candidates. And that's one thing I really want to press on. That would take a long time at it, because I want to say that this is an election period when we have some tremendous choices. A couple of examples. I've been working with various federal agencies for years to try to overcome the lack of equal opportunity for women and minorities. We made a lot of progress, kind of in spurts, starts, and finishes, and I'm very proud of that work and very proud of all the support we got. But I think that this is a time where a lot of people are kind of sitting back and taking a understandable too, but it's not a time when we can let go of what we've been trying to do. And I think these advocates who have been speaking with us are some of the most important people in our lives. The people who we can make a real difference by supporting, and whether it's financially or whether it's on a personal level or other ways, or just being out there speaking in favor of these same advocates for change. So I want to see all of us sort of recommit ourselves and not allow ourselves to be a little tired right now. Maybe I'll get back to it in a week or a month or a year, but rather say this continues to be vitally important, and vitally important to all of our people. It moves America ahead. It moves the principles of our government ahead. And I think we need to not let ourselves go into a rest period, but rather to stay absolutely committed and to stay in full support of those who advocate for equal opportunity for women and minorities, for full equal opportunity for all Americans. I thank you so much for this lovely award. I hope I deserve it, and I want to be sure that all of you realize that we haven't accomplished everything yet. There are a lot of areas of work that need to be pursued very much as vigorously as some of us older folks have been trying to pursue them for years. So I want to encourage support for all of our guests who are here to speak to us, all of us who have been doing these significant pieces of work all along. This is no time to slack off. It's just the opposite. This is a time to determine, could we pressure our leaders a little bit more to make sure they're lined up in requiring the party to be a part of equal employment opportunity and other related issues. So I just want to thank all of you for your work and urge all of you to, in every way you can, redouble your efforts and continue your efforts to make this a better country and a better life for all of our citizens, particularly for women who are struggling so fiercely as they have for years to get equal rights. I'm so much in favor of that equal rights legislation. We need to keep working and get it part of our established legal background here as Americans. So again, I want to also recognize my very good friend, Dr. Stephen Fry, a candidate for governor of our state, a wonderfully qualified person who can make the kind of change we need. We're struggling under a failing state government, I feel. A lot of opportunities are being lost. And I think that when we elect our new governor, who's sitting right there before me, I think we'll have the beginning of some very important changes at the gubernatorial level, real leadership on all the things we know we need to be improving on. And so once again, I thank you very much for this award. I'm very pleased, very happy to be recognized for that, and I hope I can be the spokesman at a future meeting of this kind, rewarding other people who picked up the need for progress and have further moved us along the route to important progress for women and minorities and for all Americans. Thank you so very, very much.